Okay, so my name is Shalid Jawahari and I welcome you to the next coding challenge, which is I call a night sky game. So in this coding challenge, I would be using HTML5 concepts and JavaScript to create a small little game here. So this game, so if I refresh this page, now these are the obstacles or the meteors. Maybe there's a meteor shower going on. Maybe these are the asteroids flying in the sky, in the night sky, black sky. And when you click on the canvas here, when you double click on the canvas here, the player is produced, the player is created. And the task is to avoid this player from all the obstacles in the sky. And if the player collides with one of the obstacles, then you have a blasting sound, right? And so I would be calling this within the next 15 minutes, 20 minutes, this challenge here. And you can actually develop, add many more functionality by learning some HTML5 and JavaScript concepts. So I hope you like this. All right, so let's get started. Challenge. So I've just created an index.html file here, and it's a basic file, nothing included, only this canvas element. Now this is a HTML5 canvas element on which you can draw different things. So our entire animation would be done using this canvas element. So this is our playground. And the coding for this animation would be done in the app.js file here. So let's include this app.js file within the HTML file by using the script tag. And the entire coding would be done in this app.js file. So first of all, let's get reference of the canvas element in the JavaScript file by using the document.getElement by id method. And now we can assign height and width to our canvas. So its height would be 400, canvas dot width, let's say 600. And to draw anything on this canvas, you need a context. So context works like a brush, you know. So, and we need to assign a context to this canvas or attach a context to this canvas. So I'll say var context is equal to canvas dot get context 2D. Since it's a 2D animation, not a 3D animation. And then context has different properties and methods. So one of the properties fill style, which you can use to fill color in any of the shape that you are drawing. So let's say context of fill style is equal to black. And then we'll use the context.fill rect. So it's a method which needs 4 arguments. The first 2 are the x and the y location from which you want to start drawing your rectangle. So this is used to draw a rectangle. And then the width and the height of the rectangle. So we want to cover the entire canvas. So I'll say canvas dot width and canvas dot height. Let me save this. Let me refresh this. So now we got the canvas on the screen here. So this is our playground, and in this, so this is the night sky. And in this night sky, we would have some stars, maybe some meteor shower going on, or maybe some obstacles going on, and our spaceship would need to move through the sky, escaping all these obstacles, all these maybe stars or maybe meteors, if you want to say. Now, so what we want to do is we want to define 2 functions. So let's say draw a function draw and then a function update. And within this update function, I would be calling window.request animation frame method of the window object. And within this method, I would be calling this update function again recursively. So which means that on every tick of the animation or every frame of the animation, this update function would be called again and again and again. And in this update function, I would be calling the draw function also, so that we would be updating the canvas on every tick of the animation. And our program would start from the update function. So we got the basic structure done for our JavaScript file here. Now we want to display stars in the sky. Maybe meteors or maybe obstacles. It could be anything. Let's use the word star. So I'll create a JavaScript constructor function star, and this star would need it would have a X location, it would have a Y location, and it would have a size also. Okay, so it would have a size also. Now all these three things would be randomly generated. So I'll say math.flow is equal to math.random, and so a star would have an X coordinate anywhere from 0 to the width of the canvas. So I'll say into canvas dot width. Let me copy this. Same way we would want it for the Y location also, and here I would say canvas dot height. And for the size, a star could be maybe 1 pixel, or maybe because different stars have different sizes, or maybe from 1 pixel to maybe 6 pixels in size. So I'll say instead of width here, I'll say 6. So we have the basic properties of our star object. Now this would also need a function to show the stars that we create on our canvas. So I'll say this dot show is equal to function, and so we would show this star as a circle on our canvas. So I'll say context dot begin path. Then we would use the arc methods to create a circle. So arc is the method of the context through which you could draw a complete circle or a part of the circle. So this would need 4 arguments. The first two would be the X and Y location. The third would be the size or the radius of the circle. The fourth would be the starting angle. So you start from the 0 angle, and if you want to draw a complete circle, you would say math.pi into 2, which literally means 360 degree. And then we need to give it a color. So I'll say context.fill style. Let's give it a white color, and context.fill. So this is our star object, and now we need to create copies of this object here. So how many stars you would need in a dark sky? So let's start with let's have a variable number of stars, and let's start with 50 stars. And to store all these objects, so we'll create 50 objects of the function star, or the constructor function star here. To store all these stars, we would need an array. So I'll say var stars. Right now it's a blank array, and then we'll make a loop. Var I is equal to 0, I is less than number of stars, I plus millions of times we have written this loop. And then we'll say stars index I is equal to new star. So each index of this array would contain a star object. And we now want to show this. So within the draw function, I'll say for var I is equal to 0, I is less than number of stars, I plus stars, the index I dot show. And I need to move these two statements back to the draw function, because the draw function would be called on each tick of the animation. So this entire thing would be updating the canvas on every tick. So let me save this. We have written too much, but now let's check whether we have written correctly or wrongly. Oops, yeah, so we've done it. So we're getting somewhere. So now we are able to show stars on a black sky, on a night sky. So these all are stars, and every star has a random X location, a random Y location, and a random size from 1 to 6. Now the next thing that we want to do is to move these stars in a particular direction. Maybe all these stars are coming from, let's say, top right and going to the bottom left. So from top right to bottom left. So we would need to add a function within the constructor function of stars. So this dot move, it's a function, and I'd say so Y value of the star would be increasing since the stars would be moving down. So this dot Y is equal to this dot Y plus 1, and X value would also be decreasing, because we are moving from right to left. So I'll say this dot X is equal to this dot X minus 1. Okay, and if the star crosses our canvas edges, then recreate that star again. So I'll say if this dot y is more than canvas dot height, or this dot x is less than 0, then recreate the star again and assign the values again to that star. So we're not going to delete the star from the array. We're going to again give it a random x, random y, and a random size, so that star will be recreated again. So let's see this. Oops, the stars are not moving. F12 console, no error. What we've done? So we've created this function, but we have not called it. So I will call this move function within from the loop here. So I'll say stars index I dot move. And now there's an error, cavness 22, a spelling mistake. So this is canvas. And now we've got the moving stars in the sky. This looks pretty amazing, every star, every obstacle, maybe a meteor. So you could see it as a meteor shower going on, maybe asteroids, moving in the sky. And you could actually change the speed of these obstacles in the sky. So what we want to do is that we want to create a variable, a global variable here. Let's say var speed, and let's give it a value 1. And here in the move function, instead of hard coding the value, I would want to replace it with the variable. So right now the speed is 1, but if we want to increase the speed, I could say speed equal to 2, and then you would see the speed, the movement of the stars in the sky, the speed has increased. So this could be helpful if you want to design different stages of this game. So once your player clears one stage, he moves on to the next stage, then the challenge increases. Now let's for a second give it a speed of 1 only. Now, so we've got the stars moving. The other thing that we now need is the spaceship or the player. So our player would try to avoid itself from the stars or the meteor shower. So I'll create a new file, let's say player.js, and within this file I'll create a constructor function called player, and this will also have x value. Let's give it an x of 20 and a y value. Let's give it a y of canvas dot height minus, let's say 50. So it starts from the second half of the canvas, the bottom half of the canvas, and let's give it a size also. Let's say the size would be the 5, and this will also have a show function, and we want to display it like a circle only. So let me copy this entire code from here. Let me save some time. Okay, let me copy it here, back here. So this the size, this, and let's just change the color. Let's give it a red color. Okay, and now we want to display our player. So within from the draw function, after the loop is over, I'll call player.show. But just a second, we have not created the object of the player. We have not created the instance of the player. So let us create that also here. So I'll say var player is equal to new player. Okay, let's refresh. Where's the player? Some error. There's an error. Player is not defined. Player is not defined because in the index.html file we have not included our player.js file here. So script source player.js. Let's check it now. Now we've got the player. So you can see here we've got the player here. So now we got the player, and the stars and the meteor shower is would be damaging our player. So what we want to do is that give this player the functionality so it can move around these objects, around these obstacles, and live happily. So what do you want to do? So we want to control this player on the mouse move event. So basically, wherever our mouse goes, the player would move along with the mouse cursor. So I'll say in the app.js file here, we'll add an event handler, and we'll say window.add event listener. I hope I'm doing it correctly. And the event that we want to handle is mouse move, and we'll pass the entire thing to inline function. And this event, this would be the object that would contain all the information about the mouse move event. And this mouse move event would have huge information. So let's pass on this object. Let's display this object on the console to see what all information we get. So refresh this, F12. So if I move the mouse in the canvas, so we start getting this mouse event information. And let me click at one of the objects. So huge information if you can see here, right? We have alt keys, false, bubbles. So the information that would be critical for us would be this client X and client Y. So this would be the current X location of the cursor. This would be the current Y location of the cursor. And what else we would need? So that's it. So two things that we would need is the client X and the client Y. So I'd say on the mouse move event here, player.x is equal to event dot client X, and player.y is equal to event dot client Y. So now if I move this cursor on this canvas, you can see our spaceship is also moving along. Yeah, so this is pretty amazing. But one thing is here that when the game starts, the spaceship is here only. So I need to change this. So let's say when we double click on the canvas, the game starts. So we need to add another event handler here. So I'll say window.add event listener and double click. So mouse double click. What would be the event name for that? I need to check it on the internet. So let me go JavaScript mouse double click event. So what's the name of the event? On DBL click. Okay. So on DBL click, and then we're gonna pass this entire information to the event object here and handle this event within our inline function. So what information we would need would be the current X location and the current Y location. So let me console log event dot client X. Let me first check if it is working correctly or not. So refresh this, F12, and we are double clicking here. No, it's not showing here. So are we doing it the right way or not? I'm not sure if this is the correct name of the event. Let me check again on the internet. On double click. Anybody in the chat, maybe you could also suggest something in the comments here. So let me just go quickly on double click. I think window. Yes, it is DBL click, not on double click. So I think it should work now. So if I double click here, yes. So I've got the x-axis. So now we got the thing. So what I'm saying is that whenever user double clicks on the canvas, so player.x is equal to event.clientx and player.y is equal to event.clientY. So when a user double clicks on the canvas, only then the game would start, and our star ship or the spaceship would appear only when the user double clicks. So we would not be displaying it on the start, but only at the double click. So I'll not create this. I'll not create this here. but I will take this statement var new player. No, so in the draw function, I'll remove it. What do you say? In the draw function, it has to be, because it has to be displayed again and again. I need to show this here also. Give me a minute. So I would say that on the double click, the player is created and is shown. Okay, so I would only have a variable here, but I'll create the player in the double click event. So I'll say player is equal to new player. Okay, and let us now try F5. So there's an error. Yes, of course there's an error. Of course there's an error. Of course there's an error. So if I'll say if player is true or it exists now, okay, so x of undefined, if I double click here, player appears, but there's some error also. Okay, so now partially we have done it correctly, but partially we are wrong here, because there's some error, some bug, right? So on the move mouse, all right, so mouse move event also we need to have this condition here. If player, which means if the player object exists, only then update the x and y location, otherwise no. So we got it. So see, I'm moving the mouse, there is no player being shown, there is no error, but as soon as I double clicks on the canvas, we'll have the starship and then we can start playing. Yeah, then we need to avoid the starship from the obstacles. Now, so we've done lots in this game, a little game, but now the most important functionality would be the collision detection. When this starship or the spaceship or the player collides with one of the obstacle, then it should die. Or maybe one of the life, as you play the games, the lives should be decreased by 1. So let's add the functionality for the collision detection. And when you develop JavaScript games, collision detection is one of the most important concepts. So first of all, let me add a new function within the star object here. So I'll say this dot collide is a function, and it would receive the player object. So how would you know that the two objects are touching each other or not, are colliding with each other or not? So there's a basic simple rule here. If the distance between the center of two circles, so let's say this is the obstacle and this is our player, both are circles. So if the distance between the center of the two circles is less than the sum of their radiuses, then they are touching each other. And there's a simple math formula to do that. Although many libraries are available like P5JS or processing, which provide ready-made functions, but we can create our function here also. We are not using any library right now. So I'll say var a is equal to this dot x minus this player dot x, and var b is equal to this dot y minus player dot y. And let's calculate the distance now. Var distance, and the formula is math square root SQ, I guess this is SQRT of A into A plus B into B. So this would be the distance between two objects, between two x and y locations. And if this distance is less than or equal to the sum of the radius of two circles, then they would be touching each other. So first of all, we need to get the radius. So var r is equal to the sum of the radius, this dot size plus player dot size. Okay, and if if distance is less than or equal to r, then console log hit. Oops. Let's see if this is correct or not. Fingers crossed. So let me refresh. Before refreshing this, let me call this function from the loop here in the draw function. So I'll say stars index I dot collide is the function, yes, and then we need to pass the player object. And now let's see. So there's an error. The error is x of undefined app js20. 20. So okay, so at this point of time when this function is being called, right here, right now, there is no player because we have not yet double clicked. So again, we need to have a if statement within our draw function before we call this function. If player, only then, if player exists, only then call this function of the star object. The error is gone. No player. Let us create a player. Double click. Player is there, and let's have a collision. Yes. So when we have a collision, hit. There's a hit. There's a hit. There's a hit. There's a hit. Yes. So we got the functionality, but let's add some sound within our program here. So HTML5 has a very good API for the sound and video, and it's basic simple API. So I've included a blast.wav audio file within the project here. It's an open source, copyright free, free to download from the internet. So you can also search and download some free audio files. And I want to say that when the player collides with the star, then instead of just console logging the hit value, I want to have a blasting sound. So first of all, we need to create the audio object. So let's say var audio is equal to new audio, and this audio would have a source, and in our case the file is in the same directory, so and the file name is blast.wav, and simply we need to say audio.play to play this file sound. And when they are colliding, in the collide function, I'll say audio.play. Again, fingers crossed. F5. No player. Let us create a player, and no collision. Right now, we are doing pretty well. I'm pretty good at this game. And now let's have a collision. Did you hear this? Did you hear this again? Hear this again? So the task is to avoid the player from all the stars here, right? And this is pretty good game. I'm enjoying it. And live for the maximum time possible.